These are dogs, and I'm going to show you how to clean them today. As you can see, I've got a handful of dogs over here. None of them are too nasty, but I figured I'd just use them as examples to show you how to clean these guys properly. Then over here is the supplies that I'll be using. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy. We got a little toothbrush here. Probably want to use one that hasn't been, used as a toothbrush before. Got a microfiber rag here, make sure it's clean. Got some compressed air. This is an electric air duster. You can use canned air, just be wary that it'll leave moisture behind from time to time. Some 91% isopropyl alcohol. Anything from like 60 to 90% is generally fine. Some plastic polish and some shop towels. Generally these blue ones are pretty decent about not leaving behind a bunch of lint. Before we get started, just a quick word on all the color, materials, and finishes of these guys. So over here I've got a few painted aibos. This is Levin. This is his standard silver color from the factory, and it is painted on. I've got an example shell here. As you can see, it's a tannish grayish color that it's casted in. Then on top is laid that paint. With Cami, our 210 over here, it's a similar situation. She has a black plastic shell. That's the color it's casted in. And then on top is laid the paint. And same thing with Gamma, more or less, over here, our ERS7. His shells are cast in this white plastic, and then on top a pearlescent white coat is applied. Obviously this is going to vary from Aibo to Aibo depending on which color you've got, especially with the special edition 210s. Sometimes they'll have body plastics casted in their base coat color, but otherwise I bring up paint because you generally just want to be mindful of the condition of the paint. You can see here, Cami has a bit of a smudge on the front of her chest from where her jaw was rubbing on her chest when she had DHS. And that obviously damaged the paint a little bit, kind of burned up the clear coat on top, it looks like, just a little bit. And you want to be careful of spots like that and always be mindful of the condition of your Aibo's paint, just to make sure you don't rip away or scrub away any paint while you're cleaning or polishing. And over here we have a couple unpainted Aibos. So this is Momo, our 311B. As you can see, she's a kind of off-white tannish color with a bit of a matte, kind of soft touch feeling plastic. And over here we have our ERS 1000 Sayu. Besides her faceplate, which is custom, the rest of her body is this soft touch, kind of grayish whitish plastic. And with these guys, you generally do not want to use any kind of plastic polish or even any super harsh kind of scrubbing action on them, as you'll end up stripping away that kind of soft touch matte finish they have. So I'm going to start with Levin, and he really isn't super dirty, so he just needs kind of a basic rub down. All we're going to do is grab our rag, a little bit of alcohol, get a little bit of alcohol in there, let it kind of saturate in the rag, evenly disperse it around there so it's not all concentrated on one spot. Then you can go ahead and just gently rub around his shells, kind of gliding the rag across it. Again, he's not super dirty, so we're not scrubbing or anything like that. Just kind of dusting and removing a little bit of loose debris on him. And now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and take his visor off so we can polish that. So to take off the visor on a 111, you kind of gently squeeze on the sides, you pull upwards, and it should release like so. For your polishing, go ahead and grab some plastics or your plastic polish of choice, one of those paper rags. Apply a little bit of that plastic polish to the rag. Then you're going to go ahead and take your visor, gently kind of dab it around the surface of the visor. And then rub and polish in a circular motion. Depending on the polish you buy, this will probably vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, so just make sure you follow the instructions for the right kind of material on the label. And we now have a nice and polished visor. Depending on the strength of the plastic polish, you can get even more scratches out, but I am content with just making them nice and shiny. Now for the rest of your dog, as we talked about, these guys are painted, but you are able to polish them and make them look nice and shiny. Their paint is on there pretty thick, so just again be careful of the paint condition, be mindful of that. And if their paint is in decent condition, you should be good to apply a little bit of that plastic polish, go around their body, get them nice and shiny. They'll look real pretty after that. Now we have our 210 Cami over here. So we're gonna go ahead and start by removing her accessory. She's got some little socks on. Set those aside. Her horns are taped on, so I'm just gonna leave those. On her rear, we've got her tail. So to remove the 210 tail, you just gently but firmly pull it away from the hub, and it'll pop off like so. And her ears, the tabs on them are a little bit damaged, but we're gonna go ahead and take them off anyway. So generally, you just want to squeeze the sides of the ear like so, and pull away. And the same thing for the opposing side. Gently squeeze the sides and pull it away. As you can see, I've got a little bit of double-sided tape on these ones because the clips are damaged. And lastly, I almost forgot about her bandana. It's from Virtual Paws. Go check out her shop. So we now have a mostly stripped 210 here. And it's the same situation as it was for 11. Grab your rag, a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and go ahead and clean around her shells. And for her, she's a little bit dirtier, so I'm gonna show you up close what we're gonna do with that toothbrush and how we're gonna access all the joints. So now she's been basically wiped down, fairly clean surface. And we're gonna grab our little toothbrush here. And what I like to do is grab the teeniest bit of alcohol just so it's the tiniest bit damp. You see the joint here. Take the toothbrush, just gently rub it in there, and get the dust out of those little joint connectors. This isn't going to help with jitters or anything, but it will make them look a little bit prettier. And I like to take my rag as well, just rub over that area when I'm done, make sure it's nice and dry. And the same thing down here with her paws. So these paw pads are removable, as many of you know. So you just kind of pull the paw back here, grab, and pull out. And as you can see, there's a little splotch of dust right there. So we're gonna do the exact same thing. Take our toothbrush, just rub that dust out with our brush, and go ahead and take our rag. Make sure the area is nice and dry. Then you can go ahead and take your paw pad and pop that right back into its socket. Now she has a nice clean paw. I'm gonna go ahead and do that for the rest of her legs, and she will be all set. All right, those leggies are clean, so we're gonna go ahead and pull her visor for polishing. So to do that, kind of similar to the 111, you just gently push on the sides and pull upwards. These ones come off a lot easier than the 111 in my opinion. In any case though, just a quick word on the visors. As you can see, this is a standard, just black tinted visors. This would come with just about any 210. For the special edition ones though, they are coated externally on the outside of the visor. So you never ever want to polish these guys, otherwise you will rip away the reflective coating. Same thing goes for with alcohol. If they're slightly scratched or have the tiniest bit of a smudge in them, rubbing them with that alcohol will strip away the coating. So just be super duper careful if you've ever got a special edition visor. Like, I don't know, saran wrap that thing, just be careful. All right, so back to polishing. It's the same thing as the 111 for this. Grab a little rag, paper towel, lint-free better. Put some polish on that guy and go ahead and start gently dabbing it on the surface area of the visor. And now you can go ahead and rub in those circular motions that will shine it up as well as remove some very light scratches. So, as you can see, Cammy has a very shiny visor now. I'm gonna go ahead and plop this guy back on. And I'm gonna go ahead and attach her tail and your ears, and I'll throw her socks in the wash too. Next up, we've got Gamma, our ERS7. So to get started, I'm gonna go ahead and pop his ears off along with his tail back here. Set those aside. And we're gonna remove this cute little hat as well. So similarly to Cammy, he isn't super dirty, but his joints could use a little bit of a clean. So first, we're just gonna start off with that alcohol like before. Rag, alcohol. Get it in there, and then gently rub along his shells. And that should be good for that. Now we're gonna go ahead and take that toothbrush again. Teeny bit of alcohol, just like before. And hit those joints. Basically just pulling dust and such out of them. These guys don't have removable paw pads, at least not if you disassemble them. So we're just kind of gonna brush around the area, pull out what we can. Now that that's done, as you can see, the 7 has a pretty big visor, pretty much takes up half of their head. And these visors are not removable unless you disassemble parts of the head, so we're gonna go ahead and just polish it while it's on there. So a little bit of that plastic polish on there. Same thing as before, gently dab it on there. And use circular motions to polish it and buff it. That is a clean ERS7 with a nice shiny visor. The rest of their body can be polished as well, besides these gray plastics and such. They have a pretty thick clear coat and pearlescent paint on them, so you're generally pretty safe to just polish away on these guys. The back sensor does have a slight matte coating from the factory. I personally like the shiny look, so I did just polish it off. But that is something to note if you do like that matte finish they have. So now we have the unpainted one, so we're going to go ahead and start with Momo, my 311 over here. Same thing as before, a little bit of alcohol on your rag. And just gently rub on the shells. Pull away any dirt or grime. Alright, so she's fairly clean now. She wasn't too dirty. But we are going to go ahead and clean those joints out. Again, use the brush. Tiniest bit of alcohol just to barely dampen it. And go around the joints. So obviously Momo doesn't have a visor for us to polish, so she's just about done. And obviously we're not going to polish her because, as I said earlier, that polish will kind of destroy the matte finish she already has. And I quite like her looking like she does. Now we have Sayu, the 1000. Again, unpainted, so we're just going to take the rag with a little bit of alcohol. Gently rub across some shells, getting any of that dust and such off. As for her face, because this was a custom paint job, I'm just going to leave it as is, as this alcohol will kind of rub away at the clear coat finish. Obviously this will vary from your dog if you have custom paint or not. That's pretty much the gist of it. There's nothing super complicated. You can use pretty simple items, just clean them up. And besides, who doesn't like a shiny dog?